before, so we'll carry on without him now until he gets back. But Dominic, you can just carry on with what you were saying now. Sorry, I cut you off.
Okay, I'll just start from the start. Like
Yeah.
I was saying, there has been studies that have shown that weed does affect your brain cells, in the sense that if you are someone that has been smoking for years now, and you have been a regular smoker, in the sense like every week now, it would have shown that your short-term memory capacity is much smaller than someone that doesn't smoke at all. um yeah, that is something that many stoners, some of the people that smoke often, some would even say yes, that is true. They have lost a bit of their short-term memory capacity, but it doesn't mean that they can't think, and it's being showed that they lose the capacity while they smoke, but once they do a tolerance break, like I mean a long tolerance break, that the capacity does eventually go back up to what it used to be.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting to know. Thank you, Dominic, for that. Is there anyone else that would like to add on? Lau, is there anything you would like to add? Or Anele, you have anything else you'd like to say? Okay. Doesn't seem like anyone wants to add on.
Oh yeah,
So
Meera.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I wanted to add on to what Dominic said. I just feel like that is the basic principle with everything, like any substance taken, because with smoking cigarettes, the more you smoke, the worse your lungs get, you know? Binge eating, the more you eat, the worse it'll make you feel. It's all about moderation in a sense. So even if like smoking cigarettes is bad for your lungs and for your brain, correct? And it's all about doing it in moderation. You can have a cigarette a week, a cigarette a month, or whatever. But over time, and the more you use, it will be bad for you. And I read actually I lied. There is a study about weed with the brain cells, but it was one study where they gave a monkey weed through a nebulizer, like a mask, gas mask thing.
Yeah.
And that study, I personally think, should be invalid, because when you smoke weed, you don't smoke it through a gas mask. And the thing with gas masks is when you smoke, like with a gas mask, is once it is applied over your nose and your mouth, there is no way you're exhaling. You're exhaling that, like the same way you do with weed. You inhale, exhale. But with a gas mask, it's kind of like more of it is forced into your lungs, and it's more concentrated in a sense. So obviously you'll start to see bad repercussions of weed if the only study that you've been provided with, or one of the more famous studies that you've seen, is that it kills brain cells because it was given to a monkey via a gas thing. That's not fair. That's not fair, because no one smokes marijuana out of a gas chamber, you know? No one smokes it. So it's like sometimes the studies aren't as valid as they seem to be. And with the masses, it's either good or bad. So if you're using it for propaganda against weed, you take one study, you give it to the masses, and they will run with it, especially people who are against it already. They will not look at the facts. They will not look at how the study was done. They will not look at who was used or what animal was used, and the brain composition of the different animals, Yes, we are genetically like closest to chimpanzees, but ultimately we are different from them. We vary from them. So if you give them marijuana and their brain reacts in a way as to kill brain cells, it doesn't necessarily mean that the the weed you give to a person will do exactly the same thing, because our brains are not the same. How our bodies handle hormones and, you know, things like that are not the same. So unless a study is like fully done with actual people that are given, not even like people that are given a large amount of marijuana, but people who've been smoking for a really long time, and then you look and you see, it's like we need more conclusive and more factual studies, and studies that will actually give good evidence that says that marijuana kills brain cells, so you should stop smoking. But other than that, it's just propaganda against marijuana.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Thank you for your answer, Anele. That was very interesting and very important to note as well. But there's nothing that anyone else would like to add. I don't think Reese is back yet. No, Reese isn't back yet. So we can move on to the next question, which is what are some of the negative side effects of weed? Lal, can you answer that one for me, please?
Okay, so I think this question ties in with the question we got earlier on. I think obviously if weed is used or consumed excessively or too much, there are going to be negative side effects. As I said earlier, it affects your thinking process and the whole taking your practical way to do things. So yeah, I don't really have much more to add besides the fact that overconsumption will have or lead to negative side effects.
No, thank you. Thank you, answer, Lal. Dominic, what are some of the negative side effects of weed?
Like Lyle just said, there can be the drop of productivity. That is a serious problem for a lot of people. Then a lot of people tend to lose sleep if they don't smoke. Then you also have the situation of, what did I say now? It slipped my mind. Shit. So yeah, but weed it has its bad moments, guys, but overall good. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dominic. Anele, are there any negative side effects that you would say weed has?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are bad effects of weed. There's there's a recessive gene that some people carry that can once you smoke, that can be brought up, that can like come forward, and what that could do is it could open up psychosis. Like you could end up being schizophrenic, actually, not psychotic, schizophrenic. So there are some people that carry the gene, and thing is, you don't actually know if you carry the gene until you smoke. And there are people who have been unfortunate to find out after they smoked that, okay, they have the gene, and once they smoked, they develop schizophrenia. And also it can be bad for mental health for some people, because for other people like with schizophrenia or paranoia, sometimes weed can get them extremely paranoid, and it can also enhance their mental illnesses. So a lot of people with mental illnesses such as schizophrenia or paranoia or any of that tend to stay away from it. It can enhance, and it can also, slow down.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for your answer, Anele. Yeah. So we can move on to our last question if there's nothing else that anyone would like to add here. And the last question is, could the cannabis industry positively contribute towards the South African economy if legalized? Lyle, can you answer for me, please?
I definitely think it could. There's also ties in with another point I made earlier on, where I said that weed is literally being used everywhere. It's bringing in money from all different kinds of places. As I said, the hair products, the facial products, the materials, the medicine. It's everywhere, man. So yeah, I think it can definitely contribute positively towards our economy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for your answer, Lyle. Anele, what do you think?
Definitely, because there's a whole industry, there's a whole marijuana industry already going on in the world. And it being legalized would reduce crime rates. It would reduce a lot of the underground selling that occurs. It would reduce a lot of the risks that come with getting weed illegally, because a lot of people find themselves getting weed that is laced. Because I've read cases of people getting weed that is laced with fentanyl and they've died because of obtaining it in like illegal ways, you know? So, and also opening up the market to cannabis can also ensure safety and you can put in like rules and regulations of how it should be grown, with what, and licenses and if it can be actually incorporated into the economy and be a whole thing. Because there's a lot we could do with marijuana if it was legalized and socially accepted in South Africa. And I just feel like it could do the economy real good, because it would prevent a lot of like different things from happening. It would prevent a lot of like laced things going around. It would also help it would boost our economy, because cannabis, what is it called? Cannabis trade. Besides cannabis trade, I can't remember the word for it. Because there's like festivals exclusively dedicated to weed, and educating people about the weed, and obviously smoking the weed, and in all shapes and forms about weed. And I just feel like if South Africa opened itself up to that, we would see a whole lot less like crimes and charges of possession of, because if we allow people to socially and economically contribute to the economy, socially and economically contribute to South Africa and to legalizing the weed industry, it could be a boost, considering how a lot of African countries aren't on the weed flow, So if a country like South Africa could start it and show the advantages of having a legalized system that actually has laws, that actually has rules and regulations that support the growth of the industry, then it could be a very good thing.
Yeah, no, it could definitely. Thank you. Thank you for your answer, Anele. Dominic, can you answer that for me lastly?
I definitely do believe that the cannabis industry can benefit the South African economy in so many ways, because you would be talking about affecting the economy right from the growing of the plants straight through to things like people becoming glass makers so that they can make bongs and stuff. there is so much. The field that cannabis can bring to South Africa is so vast, because everyone's thinking that, like, there's medical advantages, there is like the human advantages. You can literally make clothes from from cannabis. So there is so many advantages to the cannabis industry. It's all just about how it gets used. And I believe that if the right systems get put in place, the South African economy can recover quite strong through the cannabis industry, because of the climate that South Africa has as well, especially on the Eastern Cape, for growing weed. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Dominic. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add? Okay, if not, then we are done. I don't see any questions in the chat room either. So, yeah, thank you to everybody for joining. And extra thank you to my panel members. Yeah, until next time, please join in again 2 weeks from now. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.